Hey Internet, welcome to episode 1 of my new Craft Games Showcase. Today we're going over a game called Lost Skies. Now, as this is episode 1, I'll just give you a little rundown. The purpose of this series is to shine a spotlight on games that focus on crafting and building as a primary function or mechanic of the game, and that I think are pretty interesting and just kind of want to talk about. Now, Lost Skies released in early access back in April of 2025. Its official launch was September of 2025, so this year. It's made by a company called Bossa Games. Lost Skies is a game all about building and creating airships that you can fly around. It's survival building, and it's got cooperative play, which is really cool. Just to get ahead of it, I did buy this game when it was in early access, so I didn't receive a free copy. I'm not being paid or sponsored at all for this. And now, before we get into it, I'm just going to ask you if you could do me a favor. If you find yourself liking the video, hit like. It would help me out. And if you're really interested in this kind of stuff, hit subscribe. I'm going to try to avoid spoilers in this video. That's not the purpose of this video, to give you lore. This is really just an impression of the game from me. But that said, there may be some mild spoilers for things in the tutorial section of the game. Hands down, before I actually get into anything, I just want to say there's one area where this game gets a 10 out of 10 from me. You guys have heard me talk about this before in other games. It's the music and sound design. I love the music in this game. Like I said, hands down, 10 out of 10 in Lost Skies. So I'm going to kind of walk you through a bit of the experience that I had playing the game. I didn't get that far. I would have gone a little farther than I did, but I'll explain that a little later. Before I really get into it though, I'm going to give you a little bit of lore just to start things off. So we start the game waking up out of a pod where we've been in suspended animation for some time. We're from a race of people called the Saborians, and we find ourselves on an island aboard an ark, a vault of technology and knowledge left behind by our people. The island we're on, though, isn't surrounded by water, but by clouds and endless skies. We take our first steps out and explore, and in so doing, we learn to create new items we'll need to navigate the world. Among the places we can explore are sites where battles took place, and there lie the bodies of those who went before us. They usually possess data pads on which their last thoughts remain for us to read. Sometimes it'll be a mission report, sometimes a diary of some kind. These will teach us about where we come from. Scattered across the floating islands are the ruins of Saborian civilization, structures of stone and metal rising from the wildlands. These places are abandoned mostly. Some defenses remain behind. Saborians possess advanced technology and guard their buildings with automated defenses like drones and turrets. We'll learn to create the technology of our ancestors, from highly advanced tools and gear to weapons and equipment. We'll have to start small though. At first we've got nothing but sticks, stones, plant fiber, and of course our ark containing knowledge of past generations. Pretty soon we'll have constructed our first airship to leave this place behind and find somewhere new to explore. Of course, as we progress, our ships will become stronger and more effective, and before too long we'll master the skies, which is good because there's a lot of danger up there. Alright, so let's talk about the crafting system. Where do I put it? I'm going to give it a solid, not my favorite, but it gets the job done. You know, you can craft kind of what you want, what you need. You got to navigate some, in my opinion, not very intuitive menus. And things are kind of split up weirdly that I don't think need to be split up, but it's fine. Gathering isn't too difficult. Like most games of this kind, you have to create processing stations like, furnaces to turn ore into metal and things like that. But it's pretty easy to get what you need. There's not too many steps in between gathering and producing a final piece, so that's good. I like that. The inventory system is really cool too. One thing I really like that I think is really unique, you've got this sort of belt section of the inventory below the main inventory, and items that you put on your belt won't be lost on death. Big props for me on that one. Inventory management's a big part of the game, and that can be annoying, but it's its own challenge, and I think it's handled really well in this game. The ability to sort of move and rotate items in your inventory is really helpful. I like that. Good one. As far as weight restrictions go, there don't seem to be too many, if any, except on your ship. So your personal inventory doesn't seem to have much of a weight restriction. You can carry a whole bunch of wood, a whole bunch of metal. I like that. Maybe there is one, but I haven't hit it yet, so I'm going to give them points on that one. Really cool sort of futuristic tools we've got in this game too. You can gather materials at a distance. So for instance, your logging tool isn't just an axe, it's sort of like a thing that flings a spinning disc at a tree, and you just throw the thing at it until you turn it into wood, and you can go pick up the wood. You can do it at a distance, you can do it close up. I like that. Harvesting ore is similar. Your pickaxe, quote-unquote, tool is sort of like a giant gun hammer that you can fire at a distance. I like that. Cool idea. I'm into it. Resource gathering isn't too bad. They also respawn. which I really like. They tend to respawn a little more randomly, so it's not always going to be in the exact same spot, but if you go looking in a spot that you've already collected resources, you'll find some more usually. Very good. I like it, especially where the islands that you have to jump to are so spread out, so it can be difficult to get to new locations. Well done. It's still a challenge to find things, but it doesn't make it impossible and you don't lock yourself out of being able to move around. As far as learning crafting recipes goes, anytime you find a new item, you learn its crafting recipe. If it's a craftable, it's really good, helpful. If you lose or destroy an item, you can always make it again. And again, resources are pretty, I don't want to say plentiful, but they're not too hard to come by. So good. It's a good system in that regard. As I said earlier, the crafting menus are kind of annoying to navigate. I think some things could be simplified a bit. Things are kind of divided up into different types of crafting menus that I think could kind of be turned into one. It's a little bit difficult to know what you're looking for and where to look for it when you're opening the menu. It's not intuitive to me, but it might be intuitive to someone else. It's not sort of universal. So, that's just me. One thing I don't like is when you're building something, you have to use a separate tool outside of the craft menu to break down a built item. You can't, there's no delete button, which I find a little annoying. It took me a while to figure out how to do that. I kind of had to look it up. So not great in my opinion. I think that should be an option in the build menu just to make things a little easier. Again, things are separated in a weird way in this game. Another thing that not a huge fan of personally, when you craft something in a crafting table, you have to manually take it out. It doesn't automatically go in your inventory, which has an upside and a downside. Obviously, if your inventory is full, you don't lose the item or drop it on the ground, but it can be a little annoying to craft something and then have to go back because you're like, I forgot to take it. As far as changing quantities when you craft, little frustrating. You have to kind of do a multiple click fill and craft for each unit of quantity rather than just selecting a quantity. It's fine. Usually you're not going to be crafting that many of one thing, and you craft things like ammo in bundles, but could be better, could be worse. And the only really other negative thing I would say is you're going to spend a lot of time backtracking to gather stuff. But I mean, that's just normal for a game like this. Part of the main gameplay loop is leaving your main island, going to explore more, and finding and deciphering schematics and data to learn new crafting recipes. That's going to be a big part of your experience. I like it. It's fun, and it really does reward exploration, something we'll talk about a little bit later. And overall, the craft system is good. It's fun. A couple things don't work for me, but I enjoy it. So that's where I stand on that. Moving around in the world is amazing. They've given you tons of options, and pretty much everything is interactable with in some way. You can climb pretty much any surface. You can jump and fly and grapple and everything. You can get from place to place, up, down, sideways. I'm really a big fan of this. This is huge. I'd kind of give this game, I'd give Lost Skies sort of a 10 out of 10 on this one. Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I really like it. What else can I say? Again, tons of verticality. When you first start the game, you can climb any surface just by going up to it. You'll always be able to climb it unless it's sort of a weird overhang. Really a big fan of that. You're not hitting invisible walls and things that for no reason you just can't get over or across. One of the first tools you're going to make is a little glider, so it makes it a lot easier to get from place to place, especially if you're high up. Anything lower down you can glide to. Great system. A lot more games are doing that now, which I like. Another tool you get pretty early on is a grapple hook, which lets you pretty much at a distance grapple onto pretty much any surface, pull your way up. Now, they did a lot with the grapple hook physics in this game. Once you grappled onto something, you can reel it in and pull yourself up. You can reel it out, let yourself down. You can swing back and forth. You can swing from one surface to another. Once you've grappled to, say, the top of a cliff face, high above, once you get up to it, you can latch on and climb it like normal. You see things way up in the distance. I don't know what the exact distance, the max distance of the grapple hook is, but it's pretty far, so you can pretty much get anywhere you need to get with it. Again, that's part of this game's movement system that I really like. You can get up, you can get down, no problem, really fun, and you can do some cool stuff with it. Like if you're falling, say you fall off your airship or a cliff, there's probably going to be something you can grapple onto nearby, or you can use your glider, to slow yourself and then look around and find something to grapple to. Really cool. You can really Spider-Man your way around this world. I'm a big fan of that. Also, the puzzles in this game are really good at making use of these movement features. You got to grapple from one thing to another. You got to hit a switch that's way over there and then swing back and hit another switch over here. Really cool. I like it. Yep, I don't really have anything else to say about the movement system. Nothing negative. Certainly, I really like it. There's also this really cool thing you can do where you can craft these Atlas lifting devices, which you can stick on a thing that's an obstacle, and the obstacle will just automatically float away and let you get past it. Really cool idea. Like that a lot. Combat's pretty fun. You can use sort of all the equipment at your disposal to your advantage. use your grapple hook to swing and your glider to glide over and across cliffs and climb up walls and leap down on enemies and stuff like that. It's really cool. It's fun. Lots of different dimensions to it, and you can use your tools as weapons if you run out of ammo for your gun. I haven't got all the guns yet. I've only got the one. I'm still progressing, so it looks like there are some cool guns you can get later on in the game, which I'm looking forward to acquiring and using. Reloading sucks, in my opinion. It's tough to know when you need to reload, and it seems to just be automatic, and you'll be in the middle of combat firing, and then your gun will just start reloading. You'll have to get behind cover. There doesn't seem to be a really visible warning. I think there should be, but that's just for me. I kind of need that, but not everyone does. So your ammo is pretty limited, although it's easy to craft, so it's not that big a deal. And again, you can use your melee tools, your tools for melee when you need to. They kind of suck and they take forever, so hopefully you don't have to use that option, but lots of options. It can be a little overwhelming sometimes and stressful because enemies just start coming at you, especially when you encounter things like drone spawners, which create these drones you have to kill, and you have to kill some of them in order to get it to open up to spawn more, and when it opens you shoot it. Again, it's a puzzle. It's great, but it can sometimes be a little bit stressful if you're not used to it. So overall, combat's challenging. Sometimes I find the mechanics, like the reloading and stuff, can get in the way more than help, but the freedom for movement really leaves you a lot of options for like escape or different ways to deal with combat situations. So I like it. It does require focus and concentration, so you kind of have to be ready for it. Hype yourself up. Give yourself a motivational speech beforehand, that kind of thing. Overall, it's fun. I like it. Cool. Lots of options. As far as building and survival mechanics, well, the building is sort of separate, so I won't go too much into that right now. You do have to build some things like, again, cooking stations and furnaces for processing materials, but mostly your building is going to be confined to your airship, so we'll talk about that in a second. There doesn't seem to be a hunger and thirst mechanic, which I like. I find those mechanics a little bit annoying. Sometimes they're worth it in certain games, but I find generally they just make for an annoying challenge sometimes. You do get food, and you can make food, and it restores health and other stats, which is good. I like that. Kind of adds some flavor to the game, too. One thing I do like is that exploration is not only encouraged in this game, but rewarded. It's sort of the main point of the game. Once you get off the tutorial area, you have to explore the skies and find new islands to explore and discover resources and new arcs and all that kind of stuff. But even on the tutorial island, if you go looking in every nook and cranny, chances are you're going to find something useful. You go looking in between the bits of rubble and broken stones stashed up on the back corner of one of the little islands in the tutorial area, you're probably going to find some resources you need or can use. One thing I will say about the build system that doesn't really do it for me is having to hold the button to channel while you're building something. In other words, you have to hold down the mouse button and let something construct. It's good because you can easily just stop construction if you decide you didn't want the thing, and as I said earlier, breaking things is annoying because you have to use a different tool. But I don't know, I find it a little bit annoying. Otherwise, it's a pretty good system so far. I can't wait to see what's introduced. I really like exploring new places and finding new things. You really do want to explore in this game. I like that. I'm a big fan of that. So kudos. All right, now we're going to talk about the airships. Building an airship requires building a sky dock, which is one of the first recipes you're going to learn. You set it down, you create a bubble in which you can build, and then you can sort of build from a template or create your own template to build onto, which is cool. I like that. Building the ships is a little weird. You have to use a couple of different types of building menus. So you have to use the sky dock menu to create the shape of the ship and add materials to it. Then you have to use the manual building menu to build things onto that shape. And then again, you have to use the special tool to delete objects outside of the building menu. Little overcomplicated. I think some of that could be kind of compressed into one system. The flight controls are interesting. They take a lot of time to learn. I find them not entirely intuitive for me, but I like the idea. It's not just a wasted sort of movement in the air. You have to look at your declination and your direction you're currently going in and open your sails and close your sails. Not everything is accessible from the control panel of the ship. So in other words, if you want to, you can unfurl your sail, but if you want to furl your sail to go forward, you have to get away from the helm, manually unfurl your sail, and then get back to the helm to steer. It's cool. It can be a little clunky. It allows you to do interesting things if you have other people on your ship, and you can register yourself to different ships to be crew of a different ship. So I like that. It's really cool. Although sometimes that system does get in the way, especially if you're just solo gaming. And I got to talk about what happens when your ship gets stuck on floating objects and you can't unstick it. It's really tough. I don't even really know how I got out of the situation that I got into. I kind of just had to keep changing things until my ship finally unstuck itself. There was no way to understand how to do it. I found that really annoying. It was a little difficult, and I did find myself in a situation where I might have actually lost access to my ship if I hadn't gotten lucky. So a few things need to change there, but all in all, it's not too bad. Ships do require specific parts to function. So once you've built the frame in the air dock, you have to put in your helm, your controller, your sails, and once you've got those objects in, you can register your ship using the controller, and you have a functional ship. You can fly it. You can use different materials to make the parts of your ship stronger or have different attributes, which I really like. That's a cool system. The ship does have a weight stat, so if you overweigh it, you have to have more sails or bigger engines or that kind of thing. Cool idea. You're really kind of building a ship up from scratch rather than just getting a skinned mount, essentially, which I like. I like that idea. You're really building the ship yourself. I do feel like it would be cool to have an in-between flying option. So for instance, you've got your glider where you can glide from height down, and you've got your ship, which is this big clunky thing you can put sails and engines and weapons on, and complicated flight mechanics where you've got people, you can have people on there helping you. I think there should be something in between, maybe like a little skimmer thing that you can like fly off of your ship with and ride around quicker and get through the skies a little more, but maybe you can't attach weapons to it or something. I think that would be really helpful. All in all, it makes exploring really fun, and the challenges aren't annoying challenges to overcome. They're just, some of the menus are a little bit, well, they're not frictionless, I'll put it that way. But I like it. It's a cool system. I have fun with it. When it comes to actually adventuring in this world, it's really cool. Once you leave the starting area, it's a real sense of achievement and like a feeling of freedom. It's really well executed. I'm a big fan of it. You kind of take to the air in your first ship and get out into the open skies, and the vista opens up before you. You can see islands off in the distance, and the music really swells. Amazing moment. And you have no idea what's on those islands ahead of you. You kind of just have to land and find out. And sometimes it's way above your level, and you got to take off and find somewhere a little bit easier maybe. And of course, this being a co-op multiplayer-ish game, you can discover islands made by other players, or other players flying around, if you're configured for multiplayer, that is. But even doing it solo, you have a lot to explore and there's a lot to see. Quest objectives are pretty easy. They're right on the top corner, so, you know, it doesn't have like a pointer to your quest objectives, but it kind of tells you what you need to do and what you need to find, so there's lots to explore, but you have a purpose too, which is really helpful. All in all, great travel, great adventure, lots to do, lots to explore, and, you know, I'll say it again, it's really well executed in Lost Skies. Game's also got a really good tutorial. The tutorial area has a lot of puzzles and stuff to get you into the game. It isn't too big, it's easily navigable. It contains pretty much everything you need to start really getting out there and taking to the skies, and it gives you enough to sort of understand the world. In other words, you're not just dumped into Lost Skies with no idea what to do. I like a game that has a good sort of well-integrated tutorial. In other words, it's not just a text dump either. You have to play through a little section of the game to get yourself to know the world, which Lost Skies does really well. As far as the visuals in Lost Skies go, amazing. It's got a really sort of stylistic animation style. Everything is recognizable, but sort of unique. It fits the theme of the world. A lot of really beautiful visuals and scenery. The moment when you're flying through the air and out of the clouds ahead, you see the silhouette of an island leering out at you in the distance, and you know there's something new to explore. Absolutely amazing. Beautiful sunsets. Put a lot of work into making the game look amazing, and I really appreciate that. You can get some amazing screenshots too, which I gotta say, check this one out. This is the thumbnail before I mess with it, so. And it's the kind of game where if you look up into the sky, way in the distance, there's all kinds of beautiful, weird, interesting things, and you have no idea what they are floating up there. And yeah, I really like it. It's really interesting, beautiful game, great visuals, worth checking out. The game is pretty user-friendly as far as things go. The controls take a bit of getting used to, but something I like is that when you have a particular item equipped, the control scheme for that item is on your screen, so you can see all the different options and what you have to hit to make them work for the item that you have equipped. I like that. Really handy, especially when you forget things really easy like me. One thing that I had an issue with is rebinding keys, and I went to look this up, and I'm not the only one that's had this issue. There's been issues with people rebinding keys in the game. It can be a little bit difficult to do, and the way they have it set up is a little bit annoying. I think it's gotten a little better since the original early access launch, but I still found it a little annoying. Again, I said this before, some of the menu options are a bit annoying, especially where things are divided up into so many different types of menus. You got your building menu, your crafting menu, you've got your learning menu from the Atlas, you've got your airship building menu from the airship dock. I think some of these can all be combined into one. And another thing that is an issue I have and that has come up on various forums and things, there's no in-game map, which makes it a little bit difficult. The compass is pretty helpful. It shows you where your ship is and stuff, but this game is all about exploration and navigation, and I think there need to be some more options for that. Game difficulty is handled not as a sort of universal sort of setting, but based on particular locations. So for instance, the colored flora of an environment you find yourself in will tell you how difficult or easy it is. Green is easy, blue is medium, red is hard. That's what I got from the forums anyway. Which means if you want to find an environment that matches your gameplay style, you gotta go looking for it. Exploration. Again, I like that. It's good. It's a good system. So, to sum up, the game is really fun. A lot of innovative mechanics when it comes to things like movement and combat and all that kind of stuff. One thing I really appreciated is you get into the action really quickly. In other words, it doesn't take long from starting the game to getting into some of the really big core mechanics of the game. In fact, it only took me about 3 hours of gameplay to go from basically nothing to flying an airship around that I had built. In the tutorial area, there's a little robot guy that helps guide you around. That's really helpful. There's really good world building with like data pads and sort of environmental storytelling where you get obvious sites of battles that have happened and fights and bodies lying there and data pads you can read with lore on them. Really cool. The puzzles in the game are a really good way to sort of create challenges, and they fit the theme of the game. They don't seem like they're just kind of stuck in there. Skills increase as you use them. I'm a really big fan of that system. Certain other games do it, and I really like that. Really great lore. It's really unique. I like the world. I like the style. I like the theme and the ambiance. And the semi-futuristic setting really lets you do a lot of cool stuff with like the technology. Really big mix of ancient and new technology. There is still a lot of bugs to work out. There's a big bug with, well, actually, I don't know if this has been fixed or not, but it's something that happened to me, and it's the reason that I had to start a new save for this video. A while back, there was a bug that would cause saves to disappear under certain circumstances. And that happened to my previous save. I was a lot farther, and I would have been a lot farther than I got in this video. I think that one might have been patched out, which is good, and they have a different save setup for their servers. Another bug is your ship can easily get stuck on floating stuff, which is, again, I said it earlier, really annoying. I did have an issue where one time I spawned in on my ship and fell through. I was able to save myself with my grappling hook and my glider, but, you know, if you're not near anything, that can cause an issue. I think the game should give you the ability to teleport between various arcs, essentially using the arcs as waypoints. And I think overall it suffers from having too many systems that could all be simplified or combined. Really interesting day-night cycle, although it doesn't seem to change much. If you go online, you can find some amazing ship builds and islands from people who have posted their work. Really interesting. There is an island creator for Lost Skies. It's available on Steam for free, which lets you create your own islands, and you can let others explore. You can load them into the game and let others explore them. Really cool idea. I love that so much. I haven't experienced ship combat yet. I'm sort of at a basic level, but that seems really fun, something I'm looking forward to getting into. I may check back in on the game in the future and see where it goes from here. It's super interesting, and I like the concept, but I think there needs to be some more work on it, in my opinion. I will say, though, it's all worth it. When you get on your ship and leave the tutorial area behind and that amazing music swells and you take to the open skies for the first time, absolutely beautiful. I think you should all download the game and try it just to get to that point. Well, that's Lost Skies. Thanks everyone for stopping by. I'm going to use this format for this series. I'll still be doing my lore videos regularly, but I'd like to do some more showcase videos like this from time to time. In case anyone is wondering why it looks like I'm set up for streaming here, it's because I wanted to stream myself gathering footage, but had to deal with some technical issues. But once I work those out, I'll start doing that in future and we can all hang out together while I make the video. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching. If you liked the video, please hit like, and if you really liked it, hit subscribe. If you have any questions, or even if you want to suggest more games in future for showcase videos, let me know in the comments. If you have a few bucks to spare, sign up for my Patreon. I post exclusive content on there from time to time. Our $10 patron right now is Watuki at the artisan level. If not, it's all good. Just tune in and watch. So yeah, I want to thank you all. I'll see you all next time. Bye, Internet.